Crick, Son of Yawgmoth versus Savra, Queen of the Golgari, Rosheen Meanderer, and Edric, Spymaster of Trest. Oh, are we going to draw into another land? I mean, we'd have to draw into multiple lands in a row to make Golgari's good, so I think we just have to get rid there. That is way better. Just a bunch of tap lands coming in so far. Surprised not to see a turn 1 play by Edric. You would think Edric would want to get creatures down as soon as possible. We'll play out the Bloodchief Ascension on turn 1, just in case anyone goes for any shock lands or anything like that. We can start getting counters onto this, and then hopefully start draining our opponents. A Throne of the God Pharaoh. That is each opponent, is it? Each opponent, yes. So we're going to be getting counters on our Bloodchief Ascension pretty quickly, I think. Rosheen just tapping out and passing the turn, and then Savra going for a creature that throws out an Eldrazi Scion when it dies. Yeah, we're not struggling getting into lands now, are we? Yeah, I don't think Blood Artist is going to eat removal. So just in case we need a blocker desperately, which I doubt we will, we'll throw it out. And by the time we're getting round to board wipe territory, this thing will probably be seeing a lot of creatures. So I don't really feel all that bad throwing it out there. We don't have any aristocrat combos that I can remember anyway. Edric struggling on green mana, and Rosheen doing what Rosheen does and ramping out with a Cultivate. Most likely be seeing her next turn. Then a tap land from Savra, and they are deciding to swing in at us, rather predictably. They don't want to swing in at the other two because that would put a counter on the Bloodchief Ascension, and maybe they were trying to encourage us to block with the Blood Artist as well. Getting into yet another land. I'd like to draw into something else if we can, so Phyrexian Arena should help us along with that. Another blue land for Edric. Yeah, it's a good thing that we haven't seen Edric so far, but this is a much slower deck than Edric normally plays. Usually see a lot of evasive small creatures, and then they just swing in and draw a bunch of cards. Actually haven't played against Edric in the longest time because it's banned in 1 versus 1 now. And cracking the Blighted Woodland, thought we might have seen Rosheen come down this turn, but deciding to go for the 2 basics instead. Savra deciding not to swing in this time, which I'm happy about. And down comes Savra. So if they sacrifice the Caustic Caterpillar, then that will be gain 2 life. Okay. Now do they go after the Ascension or the Phyrexian Arena is the question. I think getting down our commander here isn't the worst. Let's pay the 6 life. We're going to lose a lot of life here doing this. And then we'll play the Font of Agonies, and hopefully we can keep our Crick in play. Don't know if you're supposed to pronounce this Crick or Kerrick. His name originally was Kerrick, so I don't really know about that. And then, yeah, we'll leave the Blood Artist back and pass the turn. Font of Agonies doesn't necessarily go in every black deck, but it certainly goes in this one because whenever you pay life, you get blood counters on it, and then you can remove counters to kill something. And yeah, welcome to Magic Online. Edric getting mana screwed and deciding to just quit, even though the game is nowhere near completion. And I'm sure if anyone can catch up, it's Edric. All they needed there was a basic forest and they were back in the game. An Uvenwald Hydra for Rosheen. Get to search for a land and put it into play tapped. They go for a Nykthos, Shrine to Nyx. There goes a statue. Destroy a target artifact, creature, or enchantment. I'm actually going to go for Malicious Affliction here. And do we want rid of the Caustic Caterpillar or the Uvenwald Hydra? Let's go after the Caustic Caterpillar. We will punish our opponent for that. And Font of Agonies will get 4+ counters on it because we paid 4 life to do that. And because a creature dies, the Blood Artist will trigger. So we'll drain our opponent for 1, gain a little bit of that life back. Yeah, our opponent's pretty scared of what we're doing. Very, very easy to underestimate Rosheen. And I'm not necessarily saying that our opponent shouldn't target us, but they also shouldn't forget about Rosheen over here. Any deck that gets into a hell of a lot of mana should be treated with respect. We will drop a swamp down, and we could get our commander back into play here. Yeah, we don't really have any acceleration apart from this Cabal Ritual, which only nets us a mana. We can kill one thing off with Font of Agonies, so holding that up might be a more intelligent idea. Let's just hold off on our commander for this turn. And there's a mana reflection. So hopefully Savra will start to realise what the Rosheen player is doing. A Solemn Simulacrum for even more mana. And then down comes Rosheen, so they are going to get a hell of a lot done next turn. Hopefully they don't have a Genesis Wave. They'll get 8 mana from this thing to put into an X spell. And yeah, correctly going in at the Savra player. We would have blown up their Hydra with the Font of Agonies had they have swung in at us. That will put the first counter on Bloodchief Ascension finally. A Feed the Pack. At the beginning of your end step, you sack a non-token creature, and you get wolves equal to the toughness of the sacrificed creature, so we'll have to kill off our opponent's commander before the end step. Just wait for attacks first. Yeah, I was going to say they should probably hold back here. Let's get rid of that Savra. And then they can go for sacrificing the Carrier Thrall here if they want to, but they'll only get 1 wolf. They do aim to go for that. We will drain our opponent for 1. And then getting an Eldrazi Scion because the Carrier Thrall died. Alright, Signing Blood. We could just go in for our commander here. I think that's going to cost us, yeah, it'll cost 6 mana. Or we could get down the Alhamrit's Archive first. Or we could go for Kakusho and try and hold our opponents off of swinging in at us. Yeah, I'm just going to go in for Kakusho here. Really struggling on the mana acceleration front. Rosheen tapping down for that X colourless mana. And this is something that I've addressed multiple times on the channel, but oftentimes when you sit down at a table, your best bet of winning, and something that helps you along with regards to winning more than mostly anything else, obviously you need a decent deck and decent draws, somewhat a little bit of luck, but the thing that will help you more than anything is bringing a commander to the table that people aren't automatically scared of. And Rosheen is one of those. People see Carrick at the other end of the table and automatically assume that there's going to be a hell of a lot of broken stuff going on, which is a fair bet a lot of the time. Our opponent gets 15 plus counters on a Lifeblood Hydra, so when that thing dies, it will draw our opponent a lot of cards and gain them a lot of life, getting down a Bolt of Nylea as well. This is plus counter, damage to creature with flying, put 4 cards from graveyard to library and gain 3 life. And then a Hooded Hydra as well, so our opponent's got pretty good Wrath protection now. Coming in at us with the Uvenwald Hydra. I think I'm going to hold off because the Alhamrit's Archive's coming down next turn. Hoping that our opponent takes the 2 damage, but they decide to trade a wolf instead. And that means that 2 creatures are going to die, so we're going to put a couple of damage from the Bloodghast, or the Blood Artist, onto Rosheen. And that will put another couple of counters onto Bloodchief Ascension. Savra casting Rain of Thorns, destroy an artifact, an enchantment, and a land if you want to. Not sure what they pointed at there. They targeted the Bow of Nylea, the Mana Reflection, and the Nykthos. Yeah, so really slowing down the Rosheen player there. Although I think the damage might have been done already. But good to see that our opponent isn't just blindly throwing everything at us. We get into Nykthos, Shrine to Nyx, which is actually really good here. Let's play Bubbling Muck. Another really good draw. Going to pay all 3 life here, or all 3 Phyrexian mana. which is 6 life. I don't really see us winning this one, to be honest, so it's just a case of getting as much done as we can. Let's make black equal to our devotion to black. We'll go Alhamrit's Archive, and we'll go for Signing Blood, paying the life again. That will put a load more counters on Font of Agonies. We draw 4 cards from that. There's a Knight's Whisper as well. So we'll just get down the boots. Equip the boots to our commander. And we're down to 1 life now. Let's get rid of, with the floating mana, we'll get rid of the Hydra. And then we can kill one of the other Hydras, probably the one with Trample, during our opponent's turn. Yeah, just have to leave it like that, methinks. Rosheen probably just going to go in at us with the Lifeblood Hydra before they do anything. Oh, they can give something else Trample. Yeah, that changes things. Maybe both are going in at us in that case. Did not count on a Kessig Wolfram. But once again, the underrated commander looks like it's going to win out this time. Both of these coming in at us, I imagine. We were losing either way here because of that Kessig Wolf run with Trample. Didn't really matter which one we blew up last turn. Our opponent deciding to block the Rosheen. Oh, actually, the Hooded Hydra is going in at the Savra player. Oh, I thought that was coming in at us, so it's just the Lifeblood Hydra coming in our way. So, Rosheen is being blocked by the Eldrazi Scion. The Hooded Hydra is going straight through. Let's block with Kakusho and say OK to that. And no doubt our opponent's leaving us in this match so that we are forced to kill off the Lifeblood Hydra and give them a bunch of card draw, which is exactly what we're going to do here. Going to have to pay 2 life to do it as well, which at least puts more counters onto it. But we'll gain some life back from the Blood Artist, which is not quite enough to put another counter on the Blood Chief Ascension, unfortunately. But I forgot about the Eldrazi Scion, so we'll point the other Blood Artist trigger at Rosheen as well, and that will put the last counter onto Blood Chief Ascension. Maybe we can stay in this game just long enough to start gaining some life back there. Really want rid of this Kessig Wolf run though, might be worth putting a sinkhole in this deck. Oh, Boundless Realms, yeah. That is even more mana for Rosheen, so we definitely know who the target at the table is here. Looks like Savra has worked it out as well. They've got 15 cards in hand and all the mana in the world to do whatever they want with. Unbound Flourishing will come down at the last main phase. Yeah, that's really scary in an X-Spells deck. They've got so much mana here that they'd be able to probably deck themselves with a Genesis Wave or something like that. But the Blood Chief Ascension now has the counters on it, and our opponent's having to discard down to hand size. So that is a bunch of draining that we're going to be able to do on Rosheen. Yeah, the counters go on at the end step, and our opponent has to discard at the cleanup step. So how many is that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. That means we're gaining 14 life here. Oh no, it doesn't. It means we're gaining 28 life, because it's doubled up by Alhamrit's Archive. We gain 4 life per Blood Chief Ascension. So that puts us well and truly back in this game. Yeah, we were down to 1 life at one point there, but we managed to keep ourselves in it. Catacomb Sifter. And that is, when it enters, create an Eldrazi Scion. And whenever another creature you control dies, scry one. And then a Vampire Nighthawk. So we could try and trade our Kakusho with that. Oh, and then there's a Feed the Pack as well. I think that's a May ability. Yeah, you may sacrifice a non-token creature. They decide to kill off the Catacomb Sifter. That has 3 toughness, so they'll get 3 wolf tokens there. Gonna point the Blood Artist trigger at Rosheen, and the Blood Chief Ascension will trigger here because the Eldrazi went to the graveyard. Alright, Demonic Tutor. How can we get out of our predicament here with a Demonic Tutor? Well, I'll tell you what. First of all, we can tap the Nykthos down for mana. Let's go for Expedition Map. Crack the Expedition Map. Grab ourselves a Cabal Coffers and play that. Now let's play Demonic Tutor. We'll pay a life into that, just to get more counters on the Font of Agonies. But our opponents are tapped out here, so it might be time for us to go for the combo. And I'm particularly scared of what Rosheen's going to do as well, so I think we need to pull the trigger here. Do we have any nombos in play is the question. Yeah, we'll just go for Doomsday. We can draw 4 cards with Night's Whisper, thanks to the Alhamrit's Archive. So let's just play the Doomsday. I'm going to just pay the life here because I can't be bothered working out how much mana I need to hold up. Plus it puts more counters on the Font of Agonies. Then right here we want the... where is it? Aetherflux Reservoir, the Gravecrawler, the Carrion Feeder, Phyrexian Altar, and we'll take Bolas's Citadel as well, just for good measure. Yeah, we'll go Phyrexian Altar, Carrion Feeder, Gravecrawler, Aetherflux Reservoir and Bolas's Citadel. We're actually going to be drawing into 4 of these, aren't we? So I don't think it really matters what order we put them in. We'll target ourselves with Night's Whisper. Draw 4 cards. We've only got 1 left on top now. Let's play the Aetherflux Reservoir first of all. Then tap down the Cabal Coffers for mana. We'll play Bolas's Citadel. And this should gain us a heap of life, thanks to the Alhamrit's Archive. We're at 11 now. Let's see what we jump up to. Yeah, 23, so that's 12 life we gain. Must have played 6 spells here. Then we'll play the Phyrexian Altar. Do we need that? Let's just pay for Carrion Feeder with life. Pay for Gravecrawler with life. We're up to 49 life here. And now we're going to show our opponents the combo. We sacrifice the Gravecrawler. And because we have a zombie in play in the Carrion Feeder, we can replay Gravecrawler from the graveyard. We can pay life to do that with our commander, so we'll just do that and leave the Phyrexian Altar on top. That will trigger the Aetherflux Reservoir. And we just do this forever until we've got over 100 life, and we can pop each of our opponents for 50. Let's get rid of Rosheen first, because I don't know if the Savra player can interrupt this. So that gets rid of Rosheen. Now let's carry on. Sacrifice the Gravecrawler. And it looks like this is game. It certainly is. We're up to 59 life. While Gravecrawler is on the stack, let's just hit our opponent for 50. And there we go. Big props to both of our opponents there for playing that out. They're just complete randoms on Magic Online and they played it out regardless, so big thank you to them for that. The Edric player should have continued to play that out for longer, because if anyone can get back into the game by drawing a bunch of cards, it's Edric. So apologies there for the early scoop, but against randoms there's not a whole lot I can do about it. Hope you all enjoyed this quick return to Kedrick Doomsday and tribalkai on the EDH channel. Thank you for watching.